Super. So good evening, everyone, and
Good evening.
see you all. I would request all of you to be in the session till we end it. So I'll put my best effort to finish it ASAP. But nobody, please don't go away, because this is a session which is going to be mind-blowing session for you for sure. If not, तो मेरी तरफ से आप ले लो. I can assure you, will be a mind-blowing session. It could create a turning point also in your life. ऐसा भी हो सकता है. So why I'm saying so? Because behavioral frames in neurolinguistic programming is about how our brain makes meaning of the world around us. Like whatever is happening around you, उसका जो भी आप meaning बनाते हो. So this is a meaning making machine. You know, this almost covering this 60% of this zone in our head. It is a meaning making machine, and whatever meaning it makes, it impacts the rest of our activities. The 20 billion cells here, they take the decision what to do, and they pass on that decision to the remaining 60 to 100 trillion cells of our body. Okay, so, and what neurolinguistic programming is all about is programming this 60 billion cells, these 60 billion neurons that do everything, anything and everything that you are doing right now. Even whatever you're doing right now, the decision to attend this session, the choice to listen to me, the choice to making meaning whatever I'm saying, choice of meaning making of your attending this session, whatever we were attending this session, whichever we are attending session, with whatever intention you are here, and for whatever duration you will be there in the session. Each of these is independently taken by, these choices are taken by the 60 billion cells that is here, the neurons. Okay, so this session is all about how our brain makes meaning making of the world around us and how we change those meanings to improve our lives. So you and I do it automatically, naturally, but many a times we don't even notice it. Probably 95% times we don't notice it. Maybe hardly 5% times we notice it. It's like you are struggling with something. Maybe say, just imagine that, say, whatever subject you are weak at. So in your childhood, in your school days or college days, whichever subject you are weak at, you always used to look for an option either to avoid it, or when you need to face it, you are looking for an option such that you can make it better for yourself. So before you making that choice to how to make it better for yourself, was your meaning making of whatever is happening with that particular subject in your life. And then exam comes, exam के आसपास आ जाता है, and then everybody starts pushing you, चलो आप तो पढ़ लो, आप तो पढ़ लो, कम से कम पास तो करना पड़ेगा, है ना? And then you read, you study, and then you study such a way such that कम से कम आप पास हो जाए. Sometimes you may study to score a little better than your previous scores, though you don't like the subject. Yeah, so you look for a way out, how to score better. Sometimes even if you like the subject, you may not like writing exams for that subject. You know, I had that nature, so I didn't like exams. पढ़ना मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता था. So, but writing exams was something very difficult for me. I used to avoid. कैसे भी एग्जाम के रूम में भी जब जाता था तो ऐसे सोचते कि भाई कैसे भी 2 घंटा 2.5 घंटा 3 घंटा जो भी टाइम होता था कैसे वो निकल जाए, एंड आई एम फ्री. सो जब पेपर लिखता भी था ना तब भी ऐसे लिखता था जितना जल्दी हो सके लिख दो, काइंड ऑफ थिंग. सो दीज आर ऑल you are doing consciously or unconsciously. Many of times, almost 95% of the times, you and I are doing it unconsciously. With neurolinguistic programming, you and I can do it consciously. Okay, so before we get into the details, I just want to remind you about something we discussed in one of our previous sessions, which was about meta model, the communication model of the mind. Do you remember that? Any of you remember that? If I share the picture, can you tell me that yes, I can remember? Let me just share it. So here, this is the picture. So can you remember what we discussed here? Anyone? Whatever you could remember, you can just unmute and say. But this is about you. So whatever message you picked up from this session, whatever you could remember, whatever you could recall, whatever you could even talk right now, is all about you.
सर इसमें यही था ना कि हमारे दिमाग में जो ऑलरेडी हमारी मेमोरीज है उसके बेसिस पे हम उस चीज को एक जजमेंट दे देते हैं अपने हिसाब से, जितना हम सुनते हैं कुछ हम सुनने में मिस कर देते हैं, कुछ समझने में जो हमारा थॉट होता है हम उसी के अकॉर्डिंग उसे एक आंसर दे देते हैं.
Yes, that's the summary. So if I suggest you to share exactly, आप बताइए इस पिक्चर में जैसे भी लिखा हुआ है, जो भी पिक्चर्स आपको दिख रहा है, based on that, what is the communication model of your mind? How it works?
I think we get continuously a lot of thoughts, a lot of information, and some of them are just gone, and mind tries to process or stores them somewhere, or based on which we develop our emotions or thoughts. Like you said, 60,000 something thoughts.
60 to 70,000 thoughts that comes to us every day. Yes.
Yeah, and some remain. Most of them just come and go, and they often come. I notice that they come often, maybe every day or maybe after a few days. Those thoughts repeat. But now I've started, learning to ignore them. मतलब कुछ तो ऐसे ही चले जाते हैं. Not wasting time in them. But mind still does that.
Yes, almost 95% of those thoughts are repetitive in nature.
Yes.
They're the same thoughts which, for example, you just think about while brushing your teeth. There are certain thoughts which are associated with brushing your teeth. So they are just regular. They are just repetitive kind of thing. So every day they come to you. You brush your teeth. When the brushing of teeth is over, the job is done. So those thoughts are not required anymore. So there are certain thoughts which are there, which comes to you on a regular basis. They are repetitive in nature. Those are the actions that you repetitively do throughout the day. उससे बाहर जाकर आप जब भी कुछ करते हो, वहां पे जाके क्या होता है, वहां पे those 5% thoughts are working. These are the new thoughts. For example, attending this session. Now you are not attending this session every day at 4 o'clock. So you attend it only on Thursday at 4 o'clock. So you have programmed your mind to attend this particular session on Thursday at 4 o'clock, and you don't even know what we are going to discuss. You still get some kind of speculation. Maybe we are going to talk about this. So like Pinaki mentioned, magical powers of behavioral frames. Maybe something about behavior, something about frames will be discussed. So only that much new thoughts are there. Rest is all about the old thoughts, the repetitive thoughts which come to you every day, every time. Most of the time you are dealing with those thoughts. So this picture talks about that how you and I communicate with self. So some event happened, which is the external event. And if you remember, we did a activity, like I suggested you to go near to a window, open your eyes for a second, and then close it and then come back. You remember that? And then we discovered that, oh my God, I could see even each and every leaf of a tree. You know, उस पेड़ के एक leaf आपको नजर आ रहा है. So imagine that the tree has millions of leaves. But you could still remember, you could still visualize each and every leaf. You may not remember वो कहाँ पे है, but you can identify. उसमें सब अलग-अलग leaves है, and you can see the leaves. You can remember certain things, you cannot remember certain things, because what happens out of those 2 million bytes of information which is coming to your eyes, or which you're collecting through your input devices like eyes, nose, ears, skin and taste and smell. इससे जो आप ले रहे हो उसको आप एक फिल्टर के थ्रू पास करवाते हो. ये फिल्टर में वही आते हैं which is about 5 to 7 of those thoughts out of these 2 million data points. You pick up only 5 to 7 of them. और उसको लेके आप क्या करते हो, तो क्या हुआ, most of it you automatically delete because those are not important for us, so you're deleting. So even whatever I am saying right now, whatever you're seeing in this picture, you're deleting many information. Probably you're listening to only that much which you can relate. So it starts with deletion. After deletion, whatever remains, you and I distort it. Distort means we connect it with some meaning that which we already have about similar things. For example, somebody said that what could be the color of fire? So you might remember, oh, color fire में क्या क्या color मैंने देखा, शायद red देखा है, orange देखा है, yellow देखा है. So these are all distortion. But somebody told you no, fire can also have blue color. You go to your gas stove and see. उसमें जो आग निकलता है blue color का होता है. So yes, I have seen. Then somebody will say no, fire का color green भी होता है. So yes, I have seen green color also. So this is what distortion is all about. Like you are connecting whatever you are receiving as information with something which you already know. It may not be the same thing, or it may not have any relation to that. However, we are relating to it only because that is the only information that you and I have, and we are connecting it with that information, that knowledge. ये हो गया distortion. उसके बाद आता है generalization. Like everywhere when you're using the words like ever, never, always, or any ly words like generally, physically, mentally, orally, these are all generalized words. So some part of that information we are generalizing, and this we do based on our values, beliefs, attitude, memory, decision making, and the language in which I am listening to. For example, or in English it has a different meaning than in Hindi. हिंदी में और का मतलब होता है एंड, है ना. It depends कि आप कैसे उसको सुन रहे हो. So based on the language also you make a difference. अगर हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं इसको और इसको लेके जाओ, so we are talking about and. In English, if you say that either you pick this or you this, then we are talking about one of them. So it all depends कि आप कौन सा language में उसको सुन रहे हैं. इतना कुछ करने के बाद you only pick up 7 to 9 bit per second. But if you are receiving 2 million data points, you are only, after filtering all these things, you take only 7 to 9 of them. So 7 plus minus 2 means it's 5 to 9. So average close to, it comes around 7. And then you add your own meaning to it. जिसको हम बोलते हैं internal dialogue. उसका आप एक अपना language देते हैं, और देने के बाद you store it inside your mind. And that creates an internal representation about anything and everything that you come across. So you have an internal representation about yourself, like आपको लगता है कि आप ऐसे हैं. Similarly, you have it about me also, Pinaki also. Pinaki ऐसा है. And I bet that if I ask each one of you to write 3 sentences about Pinaki, so we are 7 of us, including myself, and if you and I write 3 sentences about Pinaki, we will have 21 sentences, and surprisingly, all those 25 will be unique. 21 sentences will be unique. So you are talking about 3 sentences based on your internal representations. The others are talking about their 3 sentences based on their internal representation about Pinaki. And thus you have 18 extra representation, 18 extra information about Pinaki. And then you will say, oh yes, yes, right, हाँ ऐसा भी है, ऐसा भी है. अब ऐसा आपको पता नहीं था, ऐसा है, ऐसा नहीं, लेकिन आपके लिए internal representation में those 3 were the most important ones. Others were also there. Probably you deleted them or you just distorted them, and now you are connecting that also using your internal dialogue. Now, based on this internal representation, it impacts your emotional state. So the internal representation that you make out of something impacts your emotional state. You know, if your teacher say that you are stupid, you won't take it, you won't mind. But imagine a third person says that you are a stupid. In either case or other, in both the case, they said you are a stupid. But it impacted your emotional state based on your internal representation about that person. इसने मेरे को stupid बोला. If your teacher says, you will love to listen to it from your teacher. Probably you will share it with your friends also. आज मुझे teacher ने stupid बोला, kind of thing. So your emotional state is defined by the internal representation of that information which you have stored inside your brain. Your emotional state impacts your physiology. आपका body को impact करता है. So that's how your thoughts impacts your body. So your meaning making of certain events impacts your emotional state, and your emotional state impacts your physiology. And your whatever your impact happening in your physiology shows up in your behavior. Behavior is the action that you are taking. So this is the communication model of your mind. Okay, any question? If you have any question, you can ask me right away before we go into the depth, the new discoveries.
But all this accumulate in the mind, or it happens after a lot of experiences. We generalize that is how it happens, right?
It is happening even right now. Like whatever you are saying, ये वही है. जो कुछ मैंने बोला, उसमें आपने a big chunk of information you deleted, some part of it is distorted, some part of it generalized based on the values, beliefs, attitude, memory, decision, and language, and you picked up 7 to 8 points from it. You connected it with your own internal dialogues. Yes. And created an internal representation of it, and based on that you are asking me the question, because that has impacted your emotional state, that yes. impacted your physiology, and based on your physiology it is impacting your behavior, and in your behavior you are asking me this question.
Same question, okay.
पूछने का तरीका भी है. There is a particular tone also which you are using while asking the question. You notice this carefully. आप इसको सुनना. अपने recordings, मैं recordings क्यों शेयर करता हूँ? Recording शेयर करने का प्राइमरी पर्पस यही है कि आप अपनी बातें सुनो पहले ड्यूरिंग दैट सेशन. उस वक्त मैंने क्या बोला था, कैसे बोला था, किस टोन में बोला था, क्या सोच के बोला था, what was my thought at that point of time, what I'm thinking about it now.
Okay.
Because whatever you say now, when you are listening to the recording, again you are applying these filters on the recordings of your own voice, your own expressions, your own impressions, your own thoughts. आप उसमें भी अपने internal dialogue लगा रहे. Yeah, probably you may ask, oh my God, ये सवाल मैंने क्यों पूछा? एकदम पूछना नहीं चाहिए था. The common sense is ये पूछने वाली सवाल थोड़ी. ये आपको ऐसा लगेगा, oh my God, this is a new information for me. Thank God I asked this question. You got your answer?
Yeah.
So anybody else would like to have any kind of clarity on this? See, unless you speak up, you will lose out. तो यहाँ बैठ के 4 बजे अगर आप लोग यहाँ पे बैठे हैं and we are here for last 29 minutes, take advantage of it. Make most out of it, you know. Be vocal, be verbal, be. So if you have any question about this, please ask. All right, so no questions. So let me assume there is no question. So let me just summarize what deletion is. Deletion is the process of filtering out irrelevant information. For example, on the screen, many things that you can see right now, but probably you are focusing only on certain parts of this picture. So whatever you are not focusing on is you are filtering out because your brain considered them as irrelevant information. Okay. Maybe you are focusing on the words, may not be you're focusing on the arrows. ये भी हो सकता है. वहाँ पे जो अलग-अलग types of क्या बोलते हैं, जो एलिमेंट्स यूज किया गया है, लाइक स्क्वायर, एरो, a circle, an ellipse, probably you are not focusing on them. Probably you are not focusing on the rectangular boxes. है ना? So that is the irrelevant information that we are discarding. Then comes distortion, which is the process of fitting new information into your existing understanding of the world. That's what distortion is all about. And then comes generalization, which is the process of inferring general principles from specific examples. Okay, so with this, we will get into the world of behavioral frames of NLP. So behavioral frames are mental models that we use to interpret situations and guide our behavior. And there are 6 behavioral frames. Okay, so stop sharing. We come back to the screen. So as I said in the beginning, that what behavioral frames are all about is that how our brain makes meaning of the world around us and how we can change those meanings to improve our lives. तो अभी तक हमें ये पता चल गया कि हमारा दिमाग क्या कर रहा है, मतलब आपका अपना दिमाग कैसे इंफॉर्मेशन ले रहा है, कैसे उसको प्रोसेस कर रहा है, ये इंफॉर्मेशन अभी तक आपको पता चल गया. नाउ वी विल मूव टू द नेक्स्ट स्टेप, लाइक हाउ यू कैन यूज दोज मीनिंग मेकिंग टू योर फेवर एंड क्रिएट अ न्यू वे ऑफ लिविंग योर लाइफ. ठीक है, यहाँ पे द मैजिक विल हैपन. राइट, वी स्टार्ट बिगिनिंग. सो हियर वी गो. The first one is cause and effect. Okay, before we go, I would just request each one of you to come on camera. Let's take a screenshot quickly. So everyone on camera, everybody on screen, just look yourself on the screen how you look. So अपने आप को पहले screen पे देख लेना. Because when we will be taking the picture, you should not be looking at the screen. Okay. So you look at the screen right now and make sure how you are looking. Super, super, super. Okay. So the process that we will follow is very simple. Once we are absolutely clear how I am looking on the screen, and then I will look at the camera. So each of us will look at the camera. We'll keep our eyes wide open. We should not close it in any point or for any reason. No excuse there. And then we will count 1, 2, 3 together, and we will freeze at 3. You don't need to smile. ठीक है, स्माइल करने की मेहनत करने की जरूरत नहीं. You just need to count 3 and freeze at 3. 3 में freeze करके रहना. And I'll take a screenshot. All right. So here we go. So look at the camera. Keep your eyes open, wide, and let's count together. 1, 2, 3. Absolutely awesome. So beautiful. So let me come back. So what we were talking about is the behavioral claims that you and I can use to improve our thinking, improve our quality of life, improve the way you and I behave, not only with self, but also with others. Okay. The first one of them is cause and effect. So cause and effect means we are responsible for everything in our life and can change anything we want. ये सेंटेंस जितना छोटा है उसके बारे में जो थॉट्स हमारे पास है वो इतना छोटा नहीं. You know, like it says that you and I are responsible for everything in our life. आप बोलोगे कैसे, कोई मेरे साथ मिसबिहेव कर रहा है, how come I am responsible? कोई मेरे साथ बहुत अच्छा व्यवहार कर रहा है, how come I am responsible? Somebody is saying you are great, how come I am responsible? Somebody is saying that you are stupid, how come I am responsible? Okay, मान लेते हैं ऐसा ही. ठीक है, सो यू डोंट नीड टू एग्री कि ऐसा ही है, जस्ट फॉर द सेक ऑफ अटेंडिंग द सेशन मान लेते हैं चलो ये ऐसा ही है. Okay, so you and I are responsible for everything in our life, and you and I can change anything we want. And this responsibility that we are talking about is the meaning making of whatever is happening in our life. आप जब किसी के ऊपर गुस्सा करते हो for any reason, whatever be the reason, when you are angry with somebody, when you are feeling irritated with somebody, when you are feeling all those feelings which you don't want to feel while you are interacting with anybody, who is responsible for that? Ask yourself. The feelings that you feel about whatever is happening in your life, who is responsible for that? See, it's all your meaning making. The model of the world we discovered, the model, sorry, communication model of the mind we discovered. It's your communication model of the mind. Something happened, there was an event, you made a meaning out of it. It was your own interpretation, your own perception about whatever happened. That perception is based on certain delusion, which you find, which is you find irrelevant for you. Then there is distortion. ये बंदा पहले भी ऐसे किया था मेरे साथ, अब ये दूसरी बार किया, तीसरी बार किया, मैंने सुना है मेरे साथ ये हमेशा मीठी मीठी बातें करता है लेकिन दूसरों के साथ बहुत मिसबिहेव करता है, आज इसने मेरे साथ मिसबिहेव कर. डिस्टॉर्शन. सो पहले भी किया है या कभी नहीं किया, लेकिन आज पहली बार मेरे साथ कर रहा है और मैंने सुना है ये ऐसा. हो सकता है मैंने सुना नहीं है, बट येट आई विल से कि ओ माय गॉड, अनबिलीवेबल, तुम्हें मैं इतना इज्जत देता था, तुम्हें मैं इतना रेस्पेक्ट करता था, and this is what I'm hearing about you. Come on, this is what I'm hearing from you. All of a sudden it changed because he said something, because he or she behaved in a certain way which you didn't want or you didn't expect, or probably you never ever thought about it, and now you created a new meaning out of it. 20 साल में तो कभी बोला नहीं, आज पहली बार बोला. अब पहली 20 साल में जो बोला वो अनइम्पोर्टेंट हो गया, आज पहली बार बोला वो इम्पोर्टेंट हो गया. इतना इम्पोर्टेंट हो गया आई स्टार्टेड हेटिंग दैट पर्सन. 20 साल का प्यार हेट में बदल. And who is inflicting pain or whom? When you are making a meaning out of whatever is happening, and if that meaning is not good, if it is not giving you any kind of good vibes, if it is giving you all the not so good vibes, that you are feeling irritated, you are feeling angry, you are feeling whatever you are feeling which you don't like, who is responsible for that? They or you? You made a meaning, you created an internal representation that impacted your state of mind, that impacted your psychophysiology, that impacted your behavior. It's all happened here because of your meaning making, not because of the other person's behavior. Had that other person behaved in the same way in a video, for example, you watch a video about that person, maybe it's a movie, would that impact you that way? Because now you are not attached with it, you are already detached from it. So whatever you are detached from, they rarely make any negative impact on. अब इतना कई जगह पे इतने वॉर हो रहे हैं, युद्ध हो रहा है. Think about those people, what they are going through right now. But all those places जहाँ पे वॉर हो, जहाँ पे, whether it is Ukraine, whether it is Syria, Israel, ये वो जहाँ पे भी हो रहा है, हमास वगैरह, what imagine the kind of life that they are having right now. उनके हिसाब से तो अभी हम लोग स्वर्ग में बैठे हैं, और स्वर्ग में बैठे हुए भी हम लोग नरक जैसे सोच रहे हैं, इसने मेरे साथ ऐसा क्यों किया। You are in a swarm. That's why you have the luxury to think that. Okay? So it's your choice. यहाँ पे आप you can make a choice and put it in a different frame and create a beautiful life out for you. Yeah. So you are responsible for everything in your life and can change anything you want. Okay. Then comes the next one. Number 2. Focus on outcome orientation rather than problem orientation. कुछ भी आपके लाइफ में हो रहा है which you don't like or which is not something which you feel comfortable about, उसको हम एक शब्द से डिफाइन करते हैं और वो शब्द है PROBLEM, which is 7 letters. प्रॉब्लम का आप लोग जरूर एक एब्रीविएशन निकालो, which inspires you, motivates you, encourages you. खुद जरूर लिखना आज बैठ के. If problem is an abbreviation of something which is really inspiring, motivating and encouraging, what it could be for me. Okay. So by the way, every problem has an opportunity for somebody. So whatever is problem for you, it is always an opportunity for somebody. So one way of looking at problem is that इसमें मेरे लिए क्या opportunity है. Okay. So so we should focus on the outcome of what we want to achieve rather than the problems that stand in our way. So focus on outcome orientation rather than problem orientation. Do not consider a problem as a problem. Consider it as something which is something other than problem. उसको आप किसी भी और शब्द से replace कर दो. You can say it's an opportunity which I told you already. You can replace it with challenge. You can replace it with issue. You can replace it with concern. You can replace it with something happened. You can replace it with it happened that way. It's an incident. This is what happened. This is it. It's a hurdle. So many words. You listen to this carefully. All these words, they do not have any solution. Only problem needs a solution. If there is a problem, only then you need a solution. For any other word other than problem that you use to explain that situation, you don't need a solution for it. Solution उसके साथ जाता ही नहीं. Concern का कोई solution नहीं होता. Concern can be addressed. Issue का कोई solution नहीं होती. Issue can be addressed or taken up. Challenge can be faced. Challenge can be overcome. है ना. Opportunity तो छोड़ो. Opportunity तो ऐसी बात हो गई कि बस उसमें बस आगे क्या है देखते जाओ. है ना. Don't look at the big stone which is coming while I was driving on my on a hilly region. Stone आके रास्ता बंद हो गया. Opportunity क्या है? है ना. So opportunity is there कि you can think of everything which is possible. Maybe you can call up the state. You can call up 1033. Many people don't even know that there is a number called 1033. So when you're traveling on highways, that is the only number that you have to connect with the respective authorities. National Highways Authority of India, 1033. Dial that number and you will see how magic happens. Many people don't know. Or you know, but you deleted that information while traveling क्योंकि आपको कभी जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ी. On every highway you will find it on a green board. उसमें white में लिखा हुआ होता है 1033. You and I deleted that information because it was irrelevant for us. Okay, so replace problem orientation with outcome orientation. कि मुझे चाहिए क्या और वहां पे पहुंचने के लिए मैं अभी क्या कर सकती हूँ या कर सकता हूँ. What's the opportunity I have? So this is the second behavioral frame. So I am responsible for everything which is happening to me. Good, Renuka. Thank you so much. Yeah, you can refine it further. But that was really fantastic. You must share it in the group. Okay. I'll put this in that Tuesday wala group. Okay? Put this about problem. So all of you can share your thoughts. So first behavioral frame is I am responsible for everything. Second behavioral frame is focus on opportunity rather than the problem. As simple as that. Outcome orientation means mere liye opportunity kya hai. Okay. Then comes the third one. Third one is feedback, not failure. So there is nothing called failure. In neurolinguistic programming, there is no failure, only feedback. Every action ends up with a result, and every result ends up with a feedback. Failures are milestones that we achieve while on our journey to success, till the point we become independent enough to continue on the journey to excellence on our own. Now, why I'm talking about journey to excellence? Because neurolinguistic programming is all about a journey from limiting beliefs. In fact, self-limiting beliefs, जो हमने खुद create किया अपने लिए. Journey from self-limiting beliefs to infinite excellence in every area of our life. That's what neurolinguistic programming is all about. From limiting beliefs, self-limiting beliefs, towards infinite excellence in our life. Infinite excellence. There is no limit to that excellence. By the way, let me tell you a truth. Whatever training you have taken so far from anywhere, if it is not NLP, then NLP is the only thing which can give you access to whatever you want to achieve in your life, including law of attraction. Even to law, if you want to make law of attraction work for you, you need to do all these things, making meaning out of whatever is happening in your life. और उस meaning को ऐसे बनाना है so that it encourages, empowers, inspires and motivates. And that can be only possible when you are programming your mind using the language that you are speaking, using the language that you are listening. सब कुछ आपके लैंग्वेज में ही है, सब कुछ आपके कम्युनिकेशन मॉडल ऑफ योर ओन माइंड में ही. So whatever training you have taken from anywhere else as far as soft skills are concerned, if they are not working for you, or if they are working only a little for you, it's only because your interpretation of whatever you have learned so far. So NLP uska ultimate hai. Neurolinguistic programming empowers you to make your learning, or make the knowledge that you have received so far, you have collected so far, convert that knowledge into wisdoms, into learnings of your choice, into learnings that makes a difference, into a learning that makes you a person so that other person will look at you and ask you, how do you do that? आप कैसे कर लेते हो ऐसा? Okay, so third one is feedback, not failure. So if you think you have failed in anything, it's not a failure, it's a feedback. अगर हम एग्जाम की बात करें, and if there is a pass mark of say 35 for example, or maybe 40 is a pass mark, if you don't score 40, it does not mean you failed. It's a feedback that you are little behind crossing that milestone. However, that I do training with a lot of children, school children. So I'm working with 2 schools. So पे class 8 to 12 के बच्चों से मैं interact करता हूँ. So I'm not a school teacher. I didn't have a B.Ed degree. I didn't have any diploma in education. I train them on a neuro-linguistic program. I talk to them. I empower them. I teach them how to make a meaning to make your life incredibly awesome. Incredibly awesome. अपने जिंदगी को कैसे incredibly awesome बना सकते हैं. So when they fail, I said, wow, this is awesome. This is incredibly awesome. Because now you know कि आपको ये वाला माइलस्टोन क्रॉस करने के लिए और कितना मेहनत करने की जरूरत है. यहाँ तक तो आपने कर ली. You are already good at it. You don't even need to revise it. इसको तो आपको पढ़ने की जरूरत ही नहीं. You are already an expert up to here. Then I teach them how to teach what they don't know. कि वॉट एवर यू डोंट नो, जहां से आपको मार्क्स नहीं मिल रहे हैं, आप वो कैसे सीख सकते हो? तो पहले खुद सीखो, कम से कम जान लो, जानने के बाद किसी को सिखाने का प्रयत्न करो, और जब सिखाने जाओगे खुद ही सीख जाओ, क्योंकि सिखाने के लिए आपको सीखना जरूरी है। एंड मेनी आर टाइम्स यू लर्न व्हेन यू टीच। You know, I learned many things about NLP after I started teaching NLP. Though I am not a certified NLP trainer, I am still not a certified NLP trainer. I am only a master practitioner of neurolinguistic program. But I am practicing it for the last 1.5 years. I would say almost 2 years now. इतना रिगरसली प्रैक्टिस किया, खुद का ट्रेनिंग्स इतनी बार अटेंड किया कि आई एम ऑलमोस्ट बिकम एज गुड एज एन NLP trainer. And see, I am training you guys. ये कैसे पॉसिबल है? Because I just started teaching whatever I started knowing. जो भी मैंने नो किया, जाना, उसको मैंने अप्लाई करना शुरू किया, सिखाना शुरू किया, सिखाते सिखाते वो विजडम बन गया, सिखाते सिखाते इट गेट कन्वर्टेड इनटू अ लर्निंग. तो लर्निंग एंड नोइंग आर डिफरेंट. नोइंग, अंडरस्टैंडिंग, रियलाइजिंग अपनी जगह पे है, लर्निंग अपनी जगह पे है. व्हेनेवर यू लर्न समथिंग इट कन्वर्ट्स इनटू विजडम. वो ऐसा आपके अंदर बैठ जाता है कि दोबारा उसको सीखने की जरूरत नहीं होती, और वो आप किसी को भी सिखा सकते हो. लाइक कुकिंग. सो आई डोंट नो हाउ टू कुक. Maybe I can cook rice, I can cook tea, maybe a little bit of paneer बनीर कहीं से पढ़ के कर लिया, कोई मेनू देख के कर लिया, रेसिपी देख के बना ली. But I don't know how to cook delicious food. However, most of the chefs in all these 5-star hotels, they are all males. है ना? So दोनों वर्ल्ड ही मेरे सामने है, and I can make a choice. So that is what behavioral frames is all about. So it's not a failure. It's not a failure that I cannot cook. The feedback is I can cook this. Can I cook following a recipe? Probably I can. I never tried. If I never tried, once I start following a recipe, I might be able to achieve something. कुछ तो कुछ achieve करेंगे ना. हो सके उतने delicious ना हो, कुछ ना कुछ तो बनेगा. That is the learning. हाँ, इतना मैंने सीख लिया, इतना तो मैंने कर लिया, इतना तो possible है. Okay, so there is no failure. It's only feedback, and it's a cycle basically. Every action ends up with a result, and every result ends up with a feedback. Failures are milestones that you and I achieve while on our journey to success. Till the point, कब तक failure काम कर रहा है, कब तक हमें feedback की जरूरत है? Till the point you and I become independent enough to continue on the journey to excellence on our own. तब तक हमें hand holding की जरूरत है. Till you and I become on our journey towards excellence on our own, हम खुद चल सकते हैं, तब तक हमें hand holding की जरूरत है. जब हमने चलना शुरू किया, तब हम दूसरों को भी पकड़ के लेके चल सकते हैं. Then comes the next one. This is one of my most favorites. Possibilities rather than compulsion. So there are always multiple ways to achieve a goal. Don't change the goal. Instead, change the strategy to achieve that goal. So if you are absolutely clear about your goals, something that we started in Tuesdays with Life Coach Pinaki this last Tuesday. Now we are taking that entire thing to a new level. So we started with, you write down your top 3 dreams. So I said, goals की जरूरत नहीं, अपने dreams बनाओ. And there is this process to write those dreams. It will take some time to come to the top 3. Or the process you need to follow the same. Now, once you are clear about that dream, कि अपनी जिंदगी में आखिरी सांस लेने से पहले ये काम मैं करके जाना चाहती हूँ या चाहता हूँ. If you're absolutely clear about it, then what you will be looking for is not compulsion, rather possibilities. Something will come. इसकी वजह से नहीं हो पा रहा है, उसकी वजह से नहीं हो पा रहा है. Maybe my job is coming in my way. Maybe my children, they are small, they are coming in my way. They are not allowing me to do. Maybe my in-laws are not allowing. somebody else is not allowing me, maybe मैं जहाँ पे रहती हूँ वहाँ पे इतने opportunities नहीं है, yet the question is what is possible. So like whenever I take any training sessions, particularly जो मैं one on one sessions लेता हूँ, counseling session लेता हूँ, वहाँ पे मैं जब भी मेरे क्लाइंट को कुछ बताता हूँ, मैं उनको बताने के बाद थोड़ी देर बताने के बाद मैं उनको एक सवाल पूछता हूँ, and that question is, with this new awareness, अभी जो भी नई बात आपको पता चला, with this new awareness, what do you see possible for yourself? And this I often use when almost मान के चले हर opportunity, कहीं पे अगर मेरे साथ किसी के साथ कोई मान के चले discussion नहीं हो, probably I will say it's a debate, or maybe it's not even a debate, maybe some kind of say argument हो सकता है, कोई negotiation हो सकता है एक ऐसी सिचुएशन हो जहाँ पे मेरे बारे में कोई ऐसी ऐसी बातें कर रहा है जो मैं सुनना नहीं चाहती या मैं सुनाना भी नहीं चाहती, but somebody is doing that. Somebody is telling me आपने ये करके देखा है, आपने वो करके देखा है, आपको ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए था, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that. There are so many people who will keep on giving you ज्ञान when you don't want, है ना? ऐसे कुछ लोग हैं ना आपके दुनिया में, आपके आसपास, जो हर वक्त पे हर अपॉर्चुनिटी में आपको ज्ञान देते हैं, सिखाना चाहते हैं आपको कि आपको ये पता नहीं, आप मेरे से सीखो, है ना?
Yes.
तो उनको हैंडल करने का बहुत प्यारा सा तरीका है, तरीका ये कि उनको कुछ बोलना नहीं है, rather you keep on asking questions to that person and you start working on yourself, because the opening statement from your side to yourself is, जब हम लोग communication model of the mind के ऊपर काम कर रहे हैं, when that person is talking or hurling all those abuses or giving me all those ज्ञान, all the information which I don't want, but they're still offering me, fair enough, ऐसा होता है, और या हो सकता है I want but they're offering me something I don't even think of. The first question that you should ask yourself, that with this new awareness, something new that person is telling about you or about something, maybe about somebody, हो सकता है किसी और के बारे में आपको अच्छा भला बुरा सुना रहा होगा, somebody जिसको शायद आप बहुत रिस्पेक्ट करते हो, उसके बारे में वो आपको सुना रहा है, अच्छा आप इनकी बात करो, ये तो ऐसे हैं वैसे हैं, and you may like it, you may not like it, you may feel good about it, you may not feel good about it, but what the best thing that you can do is you can use that opportunity to create a new awareness for yourself, and you ask yourself, with this new awareness, what do I see possible for myself? It's not a compulsion that I have to believe whatever the other person is saying. It's a possibility of what I could see for myself in this conversation. मतलब अगर आज आप मेरे को किसी और के बारे में कुछ अच्छी बातें करेंगे और उस पर उसको मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगता, so I can ask you questions, और बताओ, अच्छा जब ऐसे सिचुएशन हो तो वो क्या करते हैं, अच्छा इनके साथ तो कैसे बिहेव करते हैं, and these are the same questions which is applicable even in the other side, other time also, other case also, when that person is talking all the bad things about that person or that place or that event or that family. So only ask yourself, what opportunity I see for myself in this, मेरे लिए opportunity क्या है. Okay, so don't get it any compulsion, be very careful कि आप अपने लिए possibility ढूंढ रहे हो. So don't change the goal when you are absolutely clear that this is what you want to achieve in your life, or this is what you want to, मान के चलिए किसी के साथ आपको एक relationship बना के रखना है, and you know that you have to continue with this person, you have to keep this person in your good books. So always look at possibilities. अगर उसके बारे में कोई आपको अच्छा नहीं बोल रहा है, बुरा बोल रहा है, what you can tell that person, एक काम करते हैं, आर यू फ्री टुमारो इवनिंग, बोलेगा हाँ, चलो हम उनके साथ बैठते हैं, सो वी थ्री ऑफ अस विल सिट टुगेदर, और तब ये सब बातें आप मुझे बताना उनके बारे में. ओके, इज इट ओके विथ यू? ये उसको ही पता होना चाहिए ना उसके बारे में लोग क्या सोचते हैं. कि उसके अगर पता चल गया कि उसके बारे में लोग ऐसे सोचते थे, आई एम गिविंग और ओपनिंग एन अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर दैट अदर पर्सन टू मेक हिज और हर लाइफ बेटर, make him or her image better in your mind, better in others' mind. You can also do this experiment. When somebody tells something bad about you, you can ask him a very simple question: show me the data. आपको ऐसा क्यों लग रहा है मेरे बारे में, आप मेरे बारे में ऐसा क्यों सोचते हो? कम से कम ऐसा 5 डेटा पॉइंट आप मुझे बताइए, 5 इंसिडेंट्स बताइए जिसकी वजह से आपको लगता है कि मैं ऐसी ही हूँ। अब सोचो, वो व्यक्ति अगर आपको ऐसे 5 इंसिडेंट ढूंढ ढूंढ के बता दिया, ही इज स्वरूप ऑफ भगवान फॉर यू। कितना मेहनत किया, अपने ऊपर काम ना करके वो आपके लिए ढूंढ ढूंढ के निकाल रहा है आपके आपकी बुराइयां। यू आर ब्लेस्ड, यू टेक दैट पर्सन टू अ कॉफी शॉप। बोले क्या बात है यार, लोगों के पास अपने लिए टाइम नहीं, तुमने मेरे लिए इतना टाइम निकाला। चलो कल स्टारबक्स में बैठते हैं और सुनाओ मेरे बारे में, 10 पॉइंट और निकाल के लेके आना, कल तुम्हें 500 रुपए का कॉफी पिलाएंगे। चलो, इट्स एन इन्वेस्टमेंट, वर्थ इट। ये बंदा आपका दोस्त बन सकता है उसके बाद। इट हैपेंड इन विद मी, विद 3 people. ओके, सो पॉसिबिलिटी, नॉट कंपल्शन। वो आपके बारे में गलत बोल रहे हैं, अच्छा बोल रहे हैं, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। आप उसको कंपल्सिवली मान लो, मत मानो। इंस्टेड यू लुक फॉर पॉसिबिलिटी दैट अच्छा, इसने अगर मेरे बारे में इतना कुछ बताया होगा, हो सकता है मैंने ऐसे बिहेव किया होगा, या मेरे बिहेवियर से उसके पास यही मैसेज गया, बिकॉज उसका भी अपना कम्युनिकेशन मॉडल ऑफ द माइंड है। आपने कुछ किया या आपने किसी और के साथ कुछ किया जिसका इंफॉर्मेशन उसके पास गया, and he used the same deletion, distortion, generalization model to create an internal representation about you in his mind that impacted his mental state, his emotional state, that impacted his behavior, that impacted his physiology। वो फिजियोलॉजी को इतना इम्पैक्ट कर ले कि वो बंदा आपके बारे में आपको सुना रहा है, and he is behaving accordingly. So it's always a boon for you when somebody is criticizing you. You should always be in an open mind, an open heart, like a parachute, like a chhata, umbrella. They work only when they are open. तुरंत अपने माइंड को पैराशूट या अम्ब्रेला की तरह खोल दो और उसको बोलने दो, भाई बोलता जा, तू मेरे बारे में कितना बोलना चाहता है। Put that because of some of my behavior or because of I behave in a certain way with somebody and they have told you about me, PNPC पर निंदा पर चर्चा, तो मेरे बारे में किसने आपके साथ किया होगा चर्चा। मतलब इतना इंपॉर्टेंस है मेरी आपके लाइफ में। बोलो बोलो और बोलो, चलो सुनता हूँ आज बैठ के, आज तो सुन के ही जाऊंगा। एंड I won't argue with you. I'll note everything that you are telling about, and I'll start working on them so that I can become a better version of myself. And I just want to thank you for that. Would you like to give me some more time? थोड़ा और समय दोगे मेरे बारे में, मेरी बुराइयां करने तो कर ही रहे हो, तो दिल खोल के करो, मैं तुम्हें कुछ नहीं बोलूँ। I'm lucky that somebody has so much of guts and so much of time, so much of commitment for me to share about me with myself. पता नहीं मैंने कितने अच्छे काम किए कि मेरे बुराइयां के बारे में कोई मुझे ही बता रहा है, किसी और को ना बता के। आई एम सो थैंकफुल टू यू। किसी और को बताते तो मुझे अपॉर्चुनिटी थोड़ी मिलती अपने आप को बेहतर बनाने का। बोलो और बोलो, सबके सामने बोलो, तो एवरीवन विल बी, सब साक्षी रहेंगे कि मेरे बारे में ये सब बातें हुई है। So there I will have so many accountability partners. सारा फ्रेम ही बदल दिया कन्वर्सेशन। है ना, कंपल्शन को पॉसिबिलिटी में कन्वर्ट करते, सबको अकाउंटेबिलिटी पार्टनर बनाते, आसपास जितने लोग हैं सबको बोला क्या चाहिए, यू बिकम माई अकाउंटेबिलिटी पार्टनर एंड यू मेक श्योर दैट नेक्स्ट टाइम आई बिहेव बेटर देन वॉट एवर दिस पर्सन इज टॉकिंग अबाउट, कैन यू डू दैट फॉर मी, कैन यू बिकम माई अकाउंटेबिलिटी पार्टनर. People will ask you, how do you do that? आप ये क्या बातें कर रहे हो, आप बोलो यार मैं एक ऐसा ट्रेनिंग में हूँ जहाँ पे मुझे ये पता चल गया कि मेरे साथ अभी तक जो भी कुछ है उसके लिए मैं ही रिस्पॉन्सिबल हूँ, आप लोग नहीं. अभी भी ये मेरे बारे में जब इतनी बातें हो रही है उसके लिए मैं ही रिस्पॉन्सिबल हूँ, क्योंकि अगर मैं नहीं होता तो मेरे बारे में ये बातें नहीं होती. तो अगर मेरे बारे में बातें हो रही है तो डेफिनेटली इट्स आई डिड समथिंग. आई एम नॉट सेइंग वेदर आई डिड इट गुड और बैड, बट आई डिड समथिंग जिसका इंटरप्रिटेशन लोग समाज में ऐसे गया है, सोसाइटी में ऐसे गया है. आई एम सो थैंकफुल टू यू कि आपने इतना क्लोजली मुझे ऑब्जर्व किया. आई जस्ट क्या बोलो, हैट्स ऑफ टू योर ऑब्जर्वेशन क्वालिटीज, माय गॉड. आई एम सो ग्रेटफुल टू यू. आप मुझसे कितना प्यार करते हैं ये उसका एक नतीजा है कि आप कितना क्लोजली मेरे एक एक मूवमेंट को वॉच करते हैं, एंड देन यू आर शेयरिंग अबाउट दैट थिंग विद मी इन फ्रंट ऑफ सो मेनी पीपल. ये प्यार नहीं है, मोहब्बत नहीं है तो और क्या है. आप ये सब मुझे क्यों बता रहे हैं, क्योंकि आप चाहते हैं कि मैं इससे बेहतर बिहेव करूं, इससे इससे अच्छा इंसान बनूं. ये तो मेरी बहुत बड़ी खुशकिस्मती है. ओके. बिहेवियरल फ्रेम्स, अभी दो और बाकी है. ठीक है, सो चार हमने कर लिया है. फर्स्ट वन इज, if you remember, cause and effect, so I am responsible for everything in my life. Second one is outcome orientation rather than problem orientation. आउटकम ओरिएंटेशन का मतलब है कि कुछ भी हो जाए आई विल कीप माई आईज ऑन द आउटकम. ठीक है, प्रॉब्लम को प्रॉब्लम की तरह मैं ट्रीट नहीं करूंगी या करूंगा, उसको मैं एक पॉसिबिलिटी की तरह या अपॉर्चुनिटी की तरह ट्रीट करूंगा. Then the third one is feedback, not failure. There is nothing called failure. It's all about feedback. Based on the feedback, I can improve myself. Fourth one is possibilities rather than compulsion. है ना, there are multiple ways to achieve a goal. Don't change the goal. Instead, change the strategy to achieve that goal. Then comes the next one, which is how rather than why. बहुत जरूरी है ये. Asking how questions is more helpful than asking why questions. This is very critical. Do not ask any question with why. You reframe that question with how. किसी को अगर क्या है ना, why एक ऐसा सवाल है, एक ऐसा शब्द है जो किसी को बहुत छोटा कर देता है. आप किसी को बोलोगे why did you do it, हम अक्सर ये सवाल पूछते हैं, why did you behave that way, why did you do that, why. अपने लिए why अपने पास रख सकते हैं, that is a better option, that why I want to do this, but do not ask this any question with why. The moment you stop asking question with why and replace it with asking question with how, आपका सब कुछ बदल जाएगा, आपका वर्ड्स बदल जाएगा, आपका टोन बदल जाएगा, the way you speak, your body language, everything will change. मान के चलिए किसी ने बोला I can't do this, आपने उसको पूछा why can't you do this, he's just saying okay, so what can you do now, or how can you make it happen, how can you do this. Or somebody behaved with you in a certain way, you say why did you behave with me like this way. Instead of that you replace with how come you are behaving me with this in this way. why नहीं बोलना है consciously, बस replace why with how. ओके, कहीं पे भी अगर आपके दिमाग में why आ रहा है, जो बाय डिफॉल्ट आता है, मेनी टाइम्स आता है, थ्रू आउट द डे आता है, ऐसा भी कभी कभी होता है कि why with me on, मेरे साथ ही कभी ऐसा क्यों होता है, हमेशा ऐसा होता है ना कभी कभी, when things are not in your working in your favor and you say why me on. वाई मी, मेरे साथ ही ऐसा क्यों होता है? जब अच्छी अच्छी चीजें होती है तब भी ये सवाल आप पूछ सकते हो, वाई मेरे साथ ही हमेशा अच्छी अच्छी चीजें क्यों होती है, और लोगों के साथ क्यों नहीं होता है? मेरे आसपास जितने लोग हैं जो मेरे लाइफ में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट लोग हैं, उनके लाइफ में भी अगर ऐसी अच्छी अच्छी बातें घटनाएं घटती रहे तो कितना बेहतर और बेहतरीन होगी मेरी जिंदगी। हाउ कैन आई मेक इट हैपन फॉर अदर्स? That is the question you should ask yourself all the time. How can I make it better for somebody else? How can I make it work for others? One of the best way to make things good for others by maintaining a smile on your face when somebody is telling all the bad things about you. When somebody is challenging you, you can do that. So आपके पास एक बहुत तगड़ा ये अस्त्र है, replacing why with how. Okay, so it's a how frame replacing why frame with how frame. And then the last one, that is perception is projection. Perception means projection means whatever you are perceiving about certain situation is your own interpretation, and you should respect the perception of others. जैसे कोई भी घटनाएं घट रही है उसका आपका जैसे इंटरप्रिटेशन है, उस दूसरे बंदे का भी इंटरप्रिटेशन है। तो जो भी आप बता रहे हो वो आपका प्रोजेक्शन है, आपने जो परसीव हो वही आप प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हो, जो दूसरा बंदा बता रहा है उसका भी वही है। Whatever that person is perceiving, he is projecting or she is projecting that. He is or she is trying his best to articulate his or her perception using the words that she could connect at that point of time. ये जितने भी शब्द के साथ हम कनेक्ट करते हैं ना कुछ भी चीज एक्सप्रेस करने के लिए, ये सारा डिस्टॉर्शन है। We are finding it some way to express myself. So those are the words I could connect to express my perception about something. If you remember, हमने जब structure of communication किया था उसमें there were 3 stages, 3 layers. सबसे नीचे जो था वो था exactly what happened, the reference structure. And whatever has happened, उसका आपने एक interpretation by meaning making बना, that was the intermediate structure or the meaning making structure, जिसको हम बोलते हैं reference structure के बाद meaning making structure मान लेता है, tell about it later, और उसके ऊपर आता है surface structure. And surface structure is 5% of what you actually perceived, what actually happened. सरफेस स्ट्रक्चर में हम अपने शब्दों का इस्तेमाल करते हैं अपने परसेप्शंस को बताने के लिए। So imagine something which happened at the reference structure, उसका हमने जो मीनिंग मेकिंग किया उसको हम एक्सप्रेस कर रहे हैं। So whatever हम एक्सप्रेस कर रहे हैं, it is only 5% of what actually happened. It always happens like that, no matter what, whatever it is, whatever is the case. So like even whatever I'm sharing with you right now is 5% of whatever I have seen or I have collected, the knowledge that I've collected about whatever I'm talking at right now. क्योंकि मैं आपको 5% ही दे पा रहा हूँ, क्योंकि मैंने जो परसीव किया, whatever I perceived, that is what I'm projecting. So all those examples which I used, all those metaphors which I used, they're all my way of putting things out to you. मेरी अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऐसा है, according to my understanding, according to my communication of my model of my mind, the way I interpreted things, the way I stored those information in my mind, मैंने जो उन चीजों का इंटरनल रिप्रेजेंटेशन बनाया, उसकी वजह से जो मेरी स्टेट ऑफ माइंड में चेंजेस आए, उसकी वजह से जो मेरी फिजियोलॉजी में चेंज है, उसकी वजह से whatever is impacting me right now to share my experiences with is the behavior that I am showing right now or I am exposing right now. And this is hardly 5% of what actually happened. जितना मैंने देखा, जितना मैंने सुना है, जितना मैंने जाना है, रियलाइज किया है. That's why learning आने में थोड़ा सा time लगता है. Learning means whatever was your knowing, understanding and realizing domain. जब वो learning में convert होता है, then almost 70 to 80% आपको आ जाता है. You have control on it. You got to know about it. इसलिए for learning you need to practice, and the best way to practice it to teach somebody else. किसी और के साथ बैठ के इसके बारे में बात बोले मैंने ऐसा सुना है, मैंने ऐसा देखा है, मैंने ऐसा सीखा है. So put your best effort to encourage somebody, to inspire somebody, to motivate somebody using the knowledge that you have. और उसी से क्या वो knowledge धीरे धीरे wisdom में convert हो जाएगा. The more it converts into wisdom, the more it will show up in your behavior automatically. Okay, so with this I come to the end of this session, behavioral frames. I believe you really liked it. You can share your thoughts with me, or you can ask any question if you want to ask.
Yes, I think on that point, like when you were discussing that when people say something about you and or like anybody, we have to take it in a different way. Ask, so say something more about that. You really need a open heart and a strong mind to listen to things, but it's a good way. Yeah.
Yes.
Normally, what happens is we hardly come across such people, but sometimes maybe we tend to ignore them. कि चलो यार इनसे क्या पंगा लेना है, क्या बात करनी. Let's do what we are doing with, or let's take the other way. But this is a different perspective.
मैं जैसे बोले इतना आसान भी नहीं है, मुझे बहुत
it's not that easy.
प्रैक्टिस करना पड़ा यहाँ तक पहुँचने में. How it works magic, that I can assure you. Magic की तरह काम करता. That's why the topic is magical powers of behavioral frames. ये जो 6 फ्रेम के बारे में मैंने आपके साथ शेयर किया, इसका जो पावर है, मैजिकल पावर है, the more we apply these frames, we are all reframing the conversation. That's it. Such that I can make a better version of myself.
Yeah.
You know? So
even this one, replacing how with why, is also brilliant. Yeah, it happens many times. We like छोटे से बच्चे से भी कभी पूछ लेते कि ये क्यों किया, but it's better to communicate with how,
Exactly. हम पूछे why did you do it in the first place? पूछते हैं आपने ऐसा क्यों किया? आप उसको पूछो कैसे ऐसे किया, ये बताओ पहले. How did you do that?
That's true. Yeah.
Why did you do that की जगह अगर आप बोलोगे how did you do that, आप ऐसे बोल रहे हो जैसे आपसे ये मेरी उम्मीद नहीं थी. I didn't expect this. But how did you do that is a question which can be inspiring, motivating, which can
exactly.
also something which can help somebody not to take it in a negative sense.
Why से ये हो जाता है कि allegation जैसा लग जाता है. That's true. Yeah. Yes,
so how did you do that, and how do you do that? ये एक बहुत powerful question.
Listen to this recording again. बहुत deep interpretations meaning है, तो ये बार-बार सुनना पड़ेगा लगता है. That will change our mind to a great extent.
Yeah. You know, like replace our with my.
Yeah.
Yeah. हम our बोलते हैं, बचपन से our बोलते हैं.
हाँ.
our बोलते our ही बोलते रहते और अपने ऊपर फोकस ही नहीं करते.
नहीं कर पाते. Yeah.
And that's why many a times it doesn't work. Though I'm learning new things, but it's not working for me because I'm using the word our.
Yeah.
Our, we.
It should be I. I know.
Yeah. So replace it with I, me, my, myself. First person.
First person.
अब जाके आपको पता चलेगा अरे यार अब तो मैं अपने बारे में बात कर रही हूँ. It's about me now.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I told you in the starting also, that this session, like the way you were taking up the things, I've started thinking about my own self. Up till I was going with the people, the flow of the day, or how the circumstances would be. Now I've started realizing, and I'm figuring out that I want to do this course, or I want to plan out something, I want to think this way. So things are actually changing with that. So that's really helping me a lot. Your sessions are really helping me a lot.
Thank you. See, actually, most NLP trainers, what they do, they only teach you theory.
Okay.
Because fundamentally, neurolinguistic programming is all about theory. Now, the more you practice it, only then you get to learn it. So, जो NLP trainers primarily अभी हैं all over the world, they only train you the hardcore part of it. It's like studying physics rather than applying it. So studying just something and applying it, इसमें बहुत फर्क है. The way I give the training कि मैं इतना detail में नहीं जाता हूँ, but I connect it with day-to-day activities such that you can at least relate, even if you don't attend the session again. कुछ ना कुछ आपके पास रह ही जाएगा आपके दिमाग, क्योंकि आप उसको अप्लाई करते टाइम ही आपको याद आ जाएगा, अरे हाउ नहीं, व्हाई नहीं पूछना, हाउ पूछना. Yeah, absolutely. Like possibilities, like opportunities. There is nothing called problem. There is nothing called feedback. Feedback, sorry, there is nothing called failure. It's all about feedback. There's nothing called problem. It's all about opportunities.
That's true. Yeah, this failure and feedback was also very nice. I'll tell this to my niece. Like, she's in 9th grade, but I'll definitely talk to her about this. Kidding this way.
Yeah, it's like appreciating. Wow. कोई बात नहीं, तुमने 80% नहीं किया, 78 किया है, 78 ही कितने बच्चे किए? That means you are good at scoring 78. वहां तक तो आपको रिवाइज करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. You can teach anybody. Absolutely, absolutely awesome. Yes, anybody else? Any question, any queries, any concerns? I believe all of you are awake.
Pinaki ji?
Yes, Deepa.
My voice is little bad.
Not so good.
Okay, so that reframing ourselves, any question with what or how instead of why, that is little tough because automatically we say why.
Don't
so
say we,
that
say I.
I
Say, don't
yeah,
say we.
this also trying to reframe with I and replacing why with a how or what, and getting more details. So why is like accusing, putting a person into a spot maybe, and they feel they have to defend themselves for something instead of knowing the proper situation and understanding. So this, both the things for me, it is like I using or me using is little tough. I have to replace it. And with attending your classes, sessions, I'm finding it little easier to do that. I did it with my students today in the class, in my session, and it was quite effective. Students were actually opening up. So that was good for me. Thank you.
Superb, superb. Yes, you imagine that there is no word called why. तो पूछने के टाइम पे भी रुकना है पड़ेगा. You just need to stop yourself. बेहतर है कि ना पूछो. It is still better than asking a question with why.
Yes, precisely.
Silent ho jao, because the other person knows that you will ask a question why. Yet you won't ask the question.
Yes. And also accountability. Like I'm responsible for what is happening.
Another easiest way to handle that situation is that you can actually tell that person, I'm wondering what to ask you.
What to ask you. Yeah, that's a good way. That's a good way. That's one brilliant way.
So you are finding it very difficult to ask a question without a why. So better you say that, I'm wondering what should I ask you now.
Yes, that's a good way.
So you tell me what should I ask you. मुझे क्या पूछना चाहिए आपको इस सिचुएशन. उसी को बोलो ना, वही बोलेगा आपको क्या पूछना चाहिए. अगर मैं आपकी जगह होती तो आप मुझे क्या पूछते, उसी को पूछो.
Yes. automatically they'll say how.
Exactly. Put the ball in their court only. Yes, if I had been in your shoes, if I had been in this situation, आप मुझे क्या पूछते? Don't say आप क्या करते. आप उनको पूछो, आप मुझे क्या पूछते? अभी क्या हुआ? अभी जो भी वो पूछेगा या पूछेगी, वो खुद ही को पूछ रही है. है ना? तो आप बच गए. आपको जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ा कुछ पूछने का या कुछ ज्ञान देने का, कुछ समझाने का.
हाँ, that's very true.
You ask that person. Had I been in your shoes, what would you have asked me? In this case, अगर मैंने आपको यही बात बताती, तो आप मुझे क्या पूछते? This is neurolinguistic programming. See, हम लोग behavioral frame के ऊपर काम कर रहे हैं. So instead of I making any meaning out of it, I'm asking the other person कि तुमने जो बोला उसका actual meaning क्या है वो मुझे बताओ. Instead of me assuming or me making a meaning out of whatever you said, I let me hear from you only what you wanted to convey. लेकिन आप उसके अच्छे बोलोगे तो बता नहीं पाएगा ना. You ask him or her in a different way. Like, had I been there, had I been saying this to you, what you would have asked? Super. Anyone else? Any other question? Any other challenge? Okay. अगर कुछ नहीं है, then I will just ask each one of you to say your feedback about today's session. I will request each one of you to at least talk for 15-20 seconds about your takeaways, your feedback about today's session. Can you please do that? Starting with Bhavna.
Yeah. Actually, for me, this how and why was the main thing which I could take from the session. And this is what I will really imbibe in my life, because I think that will bring out a lot of changes. And I would also request you to share the 8, you have shared the 8 points, right?
6 points. I'll share that. There's a PDF file.
Yeah,
I'll share it.
if you could share it on the chat.
Yeah, there's a PDF file. I'll share it.
Sure. Thanks.
Certainly. Yeah. Manisha? Okay. Dr. Renuka?
Good evening, sir. I was mindful in the initial part, so I could definitely share with that. So we have to focus more on the solution rather than the problem. That was my takeaway. And the initial part, the picture of NLP, the distortion and generalization, I could get it more clarity in this session now today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Manisha, any message from you? All right. Kruti?
I think the entire session was beautiful. I like need to go through each and every point once again, because all have a deep meaning, a deep thing of understanding, and if can be implemented in life, it will be really, really useful. I mean, we can be altogether a different person. So that's really going to help me. And this reminds me, maybe it's not related to this, but like when you were talking about when somebody says about you, there's a different perspective that they carry. Okay? So maybe it's not related to this, but it's a beautiful story I read at one of the pediatrician's clinic years back. Like there was a little girl and her book would carry all sorts of red marks from the teacher. Nothing would be organized, neither the handwriting or anything. And the parents were really worried what to do with this. So then they had gone to a child psychologist, and after observing all the things, the psychologist was trying to communicate to the girl, trying to understand that what is going on in her and why she's not able to cope up with studies or anything. And he just said one thing, that he just looked at the paper, there were all red marks, but he just said one thing, that your alignment and the way you have figured out on this paper, like leaving the spaces and all that, is very perfect. And then that girl replied, actually, this was the only thing that I was trying to figure out. Next time I'll try to work on my letters. So the teachers had created a kind of image that she was the most duffer in the class or something like that. And when they took her to the psychologist, they could understand what is going on in the child's mind. So this was something like that we or somebody has some different assumptions. But when you listen to the other person's perspective, maybe the parents could also change. The girl, there was a lot of improvement into her according to that story. And but that was a beautiful one. I just recollected while listening to this part.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, Deepa, final words from you.
Yeah, thank you. And for me also, the image on distortion, the external information, and we get millions of bytes. It gets filtered out, and everything is depending on how we interpret it. Something gets distorted, it changes, it gets, and how finally how our brain receives it, how we interpret it. That was very good. And also, apart from, I felt accountability, like whatever is happening to me around me, how people are behaving with me, I'm only responsible for it. So those are all my takeaways.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank
Thank you so much, and have a great weekend ahead.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.